Okay, go right ahead.
So I was pointing him in direction towards the Bronx River Alliance, as they are the entity responsible for all the programming and their own, I think, maintenance crews that they have along the Bronx River. So as far as Partnerships for Parks goes, which is the organization that I work for, um, if anybody here is not aware, it's a public-private program between the Parks Department and the City Parks Foundation. But just to be succinct, the Bronx River Alliance is the people that Mr. Williams should continue to work with. And
Okay.
I was under the impression that Joseph Sanchez would be here, but I did not see his name. So
Yeah, and it was Mr. Sanchez that I sent that proposal to.
Right.
Mhm.
All right. I'll just update this. A lot has been going on in the background with us as an agency. An MOU was drafted and sent to our legal department. It got very complicated. I had meetings with the Bronx commissioner, and I think where we stand now is instead of complicating this whole process and having our legal department generated MOU, which is like a 12-page document for you guys, and you would have to follow it all to be registered and considered a legitimized group through the agency. We're just going to simplify it within the borough and have you go through the general permitting process once the group has been officially formed. Now, with what Ishmael was saying, you have to register with the Bronx River Alliance, like he said. You initially communicated with Joseph Sanchez. I received the document that you submitted to him. It was about a half page. You had a mission statement and you had, motives for the group, all that type of stuff. And we used that to start the MOU process. Well, fortunately, sometimes people don't stick around. So Joseph Sanchez is no longer part of the Bronx River Alliance. So they don't have, I believe, someone in his position yet. So I'll work with the Bronx River Alliance, and you could work with me, and I'll sort of be the person to connect you to them and guide you through this process. So
I'm sorry. I thought you were finished.
take down my email.
And this is Mr. Doran that's speaking, correct?
Correct.
Matt Doran. I'm the parks manager for the whole community board for the Parks Department.
Mr. Doran, can you put it in the chat so that this way we can share that later?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Right now. To everyone. Okay. So, I guess the first step in this process is, hopefully this could be a quick process, is we just need to have names and contacts, and there'll be names and contacts first of people in the group. So there'll be at least 2 primary contacts. Like you said in your proposal letter that you dropped off, you would have a president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary.
Right.
You stated something like that. So we need to know who these people are going to be. We also want to know what a minimum number of people standing to constitute the group is going to be for you guys. We thought on our side 6. You could have those 4 positions and then 2 other people, and then that would be good. And however many people you go above and beyond that, that's fine. There would be a level of commitment that you guys would have to commit to, and this is part of sort of the orientation that you would get once you get established with the Bronx River Alliance, and that would be having to commit to a certain time where your group is going to be at that area, at the Fort Knox area, where it's open to the community. So, for instance, anybody could come down and you could help people with the RC hobby. If people are interested, you can introduce them to it, something along those lines. This would just be like a reoccurring time when it could be advertised through community forums like the community board, like the Bronx River Alliance website, and then the Parks Department's special events page too, where we'll book that time. So that people know that there's a group. They know that
I'm sorry, Mr. Burke. I have one question just before you go on, because it's a lot of information. So I just want to make sure I understand something. When they were going to go through the legal department to set the group up as opposed to just applying for a permit, what's the differences in that? Do the one way afford more latitude, or how does that work?
Here's the difference is bureaucracy versus trying to eliminate the bureaucracy. Basically, New York City government is very slow, it's very deep, it's very thorough, and it's very legalized. And so my commissioner has allowed us to move forward to sort of bypass that bureaucratic process within this agency in order to speed things up and just get to the point where we want to see this group get established before the growing season. With growing season, I mean when the leaves come out, it starts getting nice, and we want to see how you guys are going to do with your commitment. That we would want to, be step alongside you and support you through this. And so that's why we want this. We want to see this thing get going quick. And I don't have the time, nor did she have the time to wait 6 months for our legal department to vet a 12-page document that we would submit to you guys for. Before you even have your group established with the Bronx River Alliance. You understand? So the establishment of the group with the Bronx River Alliance is step one. Once we get that, the group or entity from the group is going to apply through the special events process, which is online. So you can go to the parks website, you go to special events, and you can fill out an application. That application is going to give you privileged time. It's not going to give you autonomy for that area, but it'll give you privileged time in that area to then, do your RC stuff to support your hobby and to sort of make it a community thing where you're going to promote it amongst the community. One on the parks website, in the Bronx. Because as a registered special event holder, permit holder, we'd have you locked in for that time. You'd have the Bronx River Alliance website where you can promote what you want to do, and then you have the community board, and then any other local venues that you wanted to commute to. So that's sort of the plan that we're thinking. How does that sound to you?
Oh, that sounds awesome. This is very reassuring, because it went all the way, radio silence after we submitted everything. So I'm really happy to hear this, and I'm really happy to hear about the timeline, because that's what we would really want to happen prior to the growing season, so that we can get out there and have Gun Hill Park be a part of our whole RC community for this incoming season. So that'd be really great.
Right. And then I have a question. There was a question in the chat by Egeria. She said, what is the time frame for the permit? Like how
I'm the permit approver.
Okay.
Processing time could vary, but we ask for Ishmael. What is the processing time that it says? Is it 30 days prior, or is it 21 days?
21 days, preferably more time is better. The more time to prepare for the season. But and it's important to note that there is a fee. It's an administrative fee. So it's $25 for a permit application. I just want to be clear about that.
So each time that they want to hold an event, they have to pay $25 for the permit?
No. They have to pay $25 for the initial permit. And what they would do is, for something like this, they would put their times for each month for the whole summer. And that the initial permit fee we'll get you in. Now, you're probably not going to get your permit for the entire summer, but let's say if you get everything in by April 1st for permitting by May 1st, then we'd give you a May permit that would probably be, let's say you wanted to be represented in the area. The group has to be present. You're going to be doing your stuff from 10 to 1 o'clock every Saturday morning. So we would give you a permit, probably do a month permit for 4 Saturdays with those dates and those times. And then we would wait before we issue the next month with those same times, because we generally don't like to issue permits for reoccurring stuff more than 1 month at a time. But it would get logged into our system as a reoccurring event that goes right through the summer. So it should be just a one-time administration fee.
I see.
And I work with the director of special events all the time for the borough of the Bronx. And so,
Mr. Placer has a question.
Yeah, actually, I have 2 questions. One, just to be clear, we'd be able to use the track during non-permitted times. And the second question is, will we be able to have signs and enforcement of like no dirt bikes allowed, or is anybody allowed to do anything they want on those grounds? The dirt bike can mess up an RC car track pretty quick.
right, understandable. Yeah, we could talk about any type of signs that we want to put up there to preserve that area, especially if you guys are going to be putting the work in through the members of your group. So we can go ahead and talk about what kinds of signs we want to put up. So yes to that question. Can you use the track outside of permitted times? Yes, you can. That would be fine. But the main purpose of this is to create a group that, and part of what you guys submitted earlier was, we want to take this group and we want to have outreach into the community where we could broaden this hobby and increase the knowledge throughout the community and the experience of the hobby. And one of the ways that we know this only happens is when you have scheduled times when a group is going to commit to the area, so that you could say, hey, we're down here every Saturday morning. You know,
Absolutely.
come on down every Saturday morning. Come take a look. Come see it is. Maybe I got something that you could try it for a little bit. And that gets them into it. And then they go out and they buy a car and then they come down. That has to happen if you guys are going to grow it. If it's going to be just a group that is just showing up, that is intrinsically centered around itself and doesn't have any outreach, then the hobby doesn't grow and it's just that group using that spot. That's not the purpose of what we originally talked to. And the agency is allowing this in lieu of getting rid of the racetrack. And that's fine. We want to make sure that the community is going to use it for what they've said they're going to use it. And so that's why we're saying, fine, get a group established. You guys could work it. The only one thing that has been set and we can't do is there's no automated mechanical changing of any grade in that area. So anything you guys want to do to that area with rakes and shovels and all that type of stuff, that's fine. But we can't bring in any large amounts of fill or anything like that. But you could contour and rake the stuff out to maintain that.
Can we contour with a small bobcat?
No,
That was my question.
Yeah, jumps are really hard to build by hand.
I understand,
like-
but one of the things that wasn't there when this was originally built, this was originally built more than 15 years ago, and there weren't the environmental laws that we have now. And because of that location, part of the park, its location to the Bronx River Parkway, it's one of two things. It's considered a floodplain, and it's also considered a bank stability. It's considered riverbank. And so anything to come in and disturb any silt that could run off into the river is strictly prohibited through state laws and permitting process through many different divisions within the city. So that's why. So that's why we say we can't bring any fill in and you can't use anything. Now there's only one thing that can be done in that area, and that's called restoration. And that's where all of that exposed silt would then be leveled and be planted over to have natural roots hold all that stuff in. That's the only thing within the law that would be allowed. That's not what you guys want. So that's what limits us.
Okay. Yeah. That leaves us thinking, trying to figure out how to make jumps without a bobcat, because by hand to move that is like, wow. So yeah, we're gonna have to think about this one. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get a lot of people. Hey, we've seen it in this agency. When you're limited with mechanized equipment, a lot of people show up to move mountains. Let's say, I've seen it.
May I offer?
I've seen 100 people show up to do a big landscape project that we couldn't get front end loaders or bobcats into in the South Bronx, and everybody did it with wheelbarrows and shovels, and they got probably 60 yards of 2 full-length tractor trailer trucks of all that soil moved. So
Well, I was going to offer a suggestion that maybe you could utilize, once you get going and you can establish yourself, maybe you can advertise that within like the high schools in the area, and maybe you could get, the young people to come out if they, if it takes hold and starts to gain interest in terms of restoring it to the way that you would like it to be. So maybe you won't be able to have it that way at first, but maybe you can restore it to that way eventually.
Okay.
I don't know anything about RCing, so just
Okay.
So
right.
I left my email in the chat. Send me the email with the members of the group. I'll connect you with the Bronx River Alliance. We'll get that formation started. The other thing was, you guys are invited to this meeting all the time, so you don't need a formal invite. So it's a way to connect, but outside of this meeting, we could connect anytime. My job is I work for the Parks Department, I work for the city, and I'm the representative for all of the properties that we're dealing with. So I'm your best resource to go directly to the source. And email is the best way. So.
I'm just trying to find the. Oh, there's the chat. Okay, we're covered up. Okay, cool.
All right. So, any more questions from Mr. Williams or Mr. Placer in reference to the RC Park? For right now, I think you have a course of action laid out for you. Okay. And definitely, I will make sure to be in touch with you and to make sure you have the information for any upcoming meetings as well, just in case something should happen during the course of the month that you might need more information about. Ms. Blair, you have a question?
This is not a question. This is just a suggestion. To add on to your point, Ms. Bond, you were just mentioning utilizing high school students.
Right.
In the case that I know that when I was in high school, we were required to do like community service hours.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
I know that with with COVID, that may not be the case anymore. But if it looks like we're DOE is returning to full-fledged in-person school. So if that becomes a requirement again for students, I think that would be the way to help them, help yourself, help them and help yourself at the same time. They get their service hours and, you get the job done.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for that comment, Ms. Blair. Okay. Any other concerns before we move on from the RC? And thank you once again for being here, Mr. Williams and Mr. Placer.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the location of that facility? Is that right over there by Bronx River Parkway?
Yeah, it is just east of the Bronx River Parkway and just south of Gun Hill Road. on the western side of the Bronx River.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions or concerns?
So, Mr. Duran, I'll reach out to you via email. I took notes, but I just want to make sure all the T's and I's are crossed and dotted, in terms of what your expectation is from us. So I will reach out to you probably tomorrow. I'll put together an email today and just reach out to you tomorrow. And hopefully I could just make sure I have all the expectations clearly laid out.
Fantastic.
Awesome. All right. Thanks
All right.
again.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda, and I do apologize for not being able to project the agenda. As I get better at this in terms of, I'll have everything ironed out. Matt, do you have any items for us for Community Board 12 that you would like to discuss?
Nope, nothing outside. I think the biggest thing was the RC track. There's movement not right now outside of that. I can update the Shoelace Park project, which is all the construction that's been going on that has been updated to 80% complete. We'll probably be wrapping up around June of this year, unless there's any unforeseen challenges that the contractor comes upon. But so we'll probably be fully opening up that park again later this spring, early summer. I think that's about it.
Okay. I have a couple of questions that were submitted by by Ms. Baez. She's not here tonight, but she had a question for you. She wanted to know if the community can plant or donate for planting low maintenance like evergreen trees or shrubs for Seton Falls Park.
Yes, and I would direct her to do it for Seton Falls Park would be through Seton Falls Park Coalition, which is an already established group that works directly with Ishmael, who's on this call.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So they would just have to have just contact Ms. Patterson and work with Ms. Patterson in terms of what they wanted to plant and where they wanted to plant it?
Yeah, Ishmael deals with that. Ishmael, do you want to comment on the process for stuff like that?
Yeah, so let me be brief. I do work with Miss Patterson. I thought she would be on here as well, but maybe she just has some of the commitments.
Right.
Every time Miss Patterson wants to do a cleanup project or a mulching project or a volunteer project in general, she consults with me and excuse me, I end up consulting with Matt because ultimately I need to find out where is an appropriate location within the park because we can't just go around planting random horticulture items in places that don't make sense, right? The last thing we want is for them to be chopped up, cut down, or trampled on by dog walkers. And this is New York City. I know that happens far too often. So I do work with Miss Patterson, who in the end we do find appropriate places for these items. It just depends on what type of plant it is we're talking about. We also don't want it to be invasive. We want it to be native plants. Seton Falls Park is a forested area, so just want to be conscious about that. And we can go about that, but it's just a matter of checking in beforehand. The more time, the better.
All right. She just wanted, I think that she was really just trying to get a handle on like something that's low maintenance, a shrub or evergreen, something, definitely low maintenance.
We have the process for stuff like this is already in place. Ishmael's the point of contact. The group for all of Seton Falls Park Preservation Coalition would be the entity, and excuse me, we could make it happen. The one thing I just want to point out to everybody that is listening, the planting projects are the most popular projects for any volunteer groups. whether it's planting bulbs or planting stuff. And people love to get into the ground, especially in the spring, and do this. But the flip side of it is that the long-term maintenance then gets forgotten. And that's the one thing that before we approve anything like this, we have to be in communication and make sure that there's solid expectations that the group that's doing the installation on these is going to also do the upkeep on these gardens if we allow them to do it.
Okay.
Because right now, the Parks Department in general is overtaxed and understaffed. And so I can't give this to my horticulture department that is barely keeping their head above water with the stuff they're responsible to. So the group could water it, and take care of it in that way. But that's one of those expectations that we set before we approve these. But it absolutely can be done.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that her thought was something that would be low maintenance, so that yes, the group, the entity would maintain it, but it would be low maintenance, so it wouldn't be overbearing on any one group. Okay, we're moving right along. Any questions about that before I move on? Okay, and Matt, just for my own edification, how many parks do we have in Community Board 12?
Without my map or my list,
Okay.
I think you have 12. 12, Community Board 12 has 12.
Oh, okay. 12 parks. Okay. Okay.
That includes playgrounds too, a park or playground.
Park/playground.
Right.
Great. Thank you for that. And then there was one other thing on the agenda here, the publicizing the work of the Parks Committee. This was another thing that was brought up by some community members as well. They wanted to know, like, well, how could we better market ourselves? So I did some outreach to Carla Brashadi, and please forgive me if she's not here, but please forgive me if I got her last name wrong. And she was able to provide me with a pretty extensive list. I can't share my screen at the moment, but she did provide me with a pretty extensive list. So I think that, and I don't have enough of a quorum here to actually put anything together on this right at the moment, but I just wanted to share that information, that we do have at least a working list of where we can advertise what's happening within the Parks Committee. So that would be something that we'd be looking forward to doing as well. That was, hold on one second, let me see what else. All right. Are there any other comments or any other concerns at this moment? Okay.
Hi. Well, actually, it's two. I see what Sydney has her hand raised too, Madam Chair. So I don't know if Sydney.
I'm sorry. I did not see her hands. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Blair, and then Dr. Burke.
I think that it's from before, so I will just take her hand down. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Dr. Burke?
Okay, so are you almost done, Madam Chair? Because my computer was absolutely possessed by nothing but evil. I missed most of your meeting, and I want to be here, especially after all the brouhaha that's been going on. But like I said, I just, for whatever reason, it just, like I said, just went black and just went out. So I apologize.
No worries.
So can I get a quick recap of what kind of sort of transpired in particular with the RC? I mean, I can call Brother Williams, but you can just tell me right quick what happened.
Well, basically, the RC group is going to be working with the Bronx River Alliance to establish themselves. They're going to be working and getting the necessary permits. They have to establish their group and making sure that they have, and Matt, you could jump in and correct me if I'm missing anything. They have to establish their group, making sure that they have a chairperson, a vice chair, a treasurer, a secretary, and at least 2 other members. Correct, Matt?
Correct.
Yes. So they have to have that. And then rather than go through like the legal department and set that up, they're going to then get a permit. And the permit will be issued on a monthly basis, and there's the one-time fee of $25 to set that up. So they're kind of, and Matt did leave his email address with the group, and so they are in communication, and I think they'll have a way to move forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
There was one other thing, and I don't know if maybe Dr. Burke, you could help me out with this. There was an email that you sent in reference to the Parks Department wanting to name, wanting to name a park in reference to a prominent African American. And this is something that I think Miss Sadie was interested in doing.
Yeah, so right. So let me comment on that. So you're right. So there is I think there's a program that's going on with the Parks Department. Actually, since we're being recorded here, let me show my face. So there's a program that's going on with the Parks Department where you can name a park after a prominent American. And so, I think what I'm hearing is that on the corner of Gun Hill and White Plains Road, they want to rename that little park by the Comfort Station in honor of Marcus Garvey. Now, I don't know if what I forwarded to your committee has a lot of the email traffic that took place between Ms. Sadie, myself, and district manager, but there is already a park in Harlem that's named after Marcus Garvey. So the question is, would that be permissible? And so, yeah, like I said, I guess I thought Ms. Sadie would be on too, but I know that that's something that she wants, to occur. And so, I guess my question would then go to Mr. Duran. Is that possible? If so, then can we, make it happen? And how do we go about doing it? If not, then same thing. What other persons? I guess we can choose somebody else, but what would be the process?
Right. So, bad luck that the property is already named over in Brooklyn, but we won't be able to name the property the same name.
Okay.
So you would just have to come up with a new name, a new person. Recently did this for one of my other properties further south. It's in the process of it's a field that's being named after a Bronx resident who was a Vietnam War hero, and so we're naming the field after him. So it's going through that. The process would be to make your request to the Commissioner of Parks for the Borough of the Bronx. And the best way to do that would be through George.
Okay.
Because he has a direct connection to her office and her chief of staff.
Okay.
Matt, if I may add to that, there is a form online on the Parks Department website, and I can share that in the chat. I just have to get used. This is Cisco WebEx.
Yes.
The first time I'm ever using this platform. But there is a form where anybody from the public can directly make a suggestion. Now, I want to emphasize that it's a suggestion. There's no guarantee that the department will actually make it happen. These things take time. But anybody and everybody from the public is encouraged to submit their suggestion online. It's a short form. I did it myself. Takes about 5 minutes or less. You put your name, your email address. There are some criteria that have to be met. The person has had to have been deceased for more than, I think, 5 years. No, excuse me, 3 years. I'm wrong. 3 years. I'm reading the criteria right now as I speak.
Okay.
They ideally have to be New York City residents, but that's not required. It's preferred. They must have been particularly instrumental in the design, the development, or programming of the park or park feature. And their contributions can easily be found or accessible through public searching. So I can tell you firsthand that I'm working with the widow of a person down in the South Bronx by Crestona Park. I know it's out of your community board district, but her husband already has a street. He passed away 5, 6 years ago, and so I'm working with her, and I inputted her suggestion myself because she didn't have access to a computer. So I submitted her suggestion. Her husband was of Black / African American heritage, and he was instrumental in the creation of the park. So again, I'm going to share that link over here in the chat.
Thank you.
Anybody and everybody is encouraged to submit their suggestion, and it will be taken from there. Please let me know if it comes out. I think it did.
Yes, we see it there.
Okay.
And Miss Egeria, you're going to help me capture what's in the chat, right? So that this way I'll have that to share.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments in reference to the naming of the park?
Okay. I'm sorry. Yes, Madam Chair, I do have a question. So let me, Mr. Guzman, if I can have you back for a second. So you're saying that it has to be, well, preferably a New York City resident. Is that did I hear you correctly?
So yes, I didn't make the rules. I was directly reading from the website the criteria. They ideally are New York City residents. Now that doesn't say they have to be, but ideally.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be deceased.
Yes.
Okay.
The person must have been deceased for more than 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. Let me just check my agenda, making sure that I've covered all bases. Dr. Burke, maybe I can ask your guidance on this part of it. The Parks Committee needs to come up with our mission statement, but I do not have all of the members of the Parks Committee here this evening. So is that something I have to put on the back burner until I have?
Yeah, let's work on that, because like I said, the first vice chair, Ms. Bennett, is, she's coordinating all of that for me. And so if you could work with, if you could work with her, that's her cup of tea. And not only that, I'm kind of sort of dealing with some other things, as you well know. So if you could work with her, she would help you, come up with that. As far as your committee is concerned, I mean, I know Mr. James is here. That's on your committee. So Ted James is here. Other members of your committee are not here. And so I want to say, because I don't have much in my computer, as I said, is being evil today. So I'll have to get that to you. But if push comes to shove, we can get you some new members. You know what I mean? So I think that's not an issue if you need it. We can make that happen. So just let me know what you need, and we'll do our best to make certain that you're successful.
Okay. Well, in forming the mission statement, I really wanted to have the input of more people rather than just go off and formulate that on my own. Not that I couldn't do it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And so, I mean, what I can do is the following. I think when we're done, I can get you the people who are supposed to be on your committee, and then you can reach out to them.
I think I have the names, Dr. Burke.
Okay. Then that's fine.
And you could just correct me if I'm wrong. Mr. James, Mr. Potter, Ms. Martin, and then the new members were Ms. Pabon, they're non-voting members, and Mr. Toba.
That sounds about right. Run that by me again, please. Mr. James, and who else?
Mr. James, Mr. Potter, Ms. Martin, Ms. Pabon, and Mr. Toba.
Now, who is Mr. Potter?
Frank Potter. I don't know who that is.
Oh, Porter.
Frank
Okay.
Porter.
Well, yeah.
Frank Porter.
Oh, it's Frank Porter. Oh, okay.
Porter.
Well, yeah, yeah. So, and then like I said, Lucille, and that's fine. So, so I haven't heard from either one of them. So like I said, there may be some realignment on that. So I'll just, just keep that in mind. So, with that being said, like I said, work with Ms. Bennett. I see that that's Mr. James is here. But what you also may want to do is, and I hate to put my friend on the spot because I love him, but I know that he's very, very good at this. And I'm talking about my Norfolk State friend, Clinton. And so I would get his input too. because he's very good at things like this. You know what I mean, as far as getting input and helping you come up with,
Okay.
some ideas. I know he does it for me. He helps me. So, I would, even though he's not on your committee, I would consult with him too.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Will do. Okay. All right.
I'm available. I'm available for a fee.
For a fee? Well, it has to be a small fee.
Okay.
Hi, Denise, can I say something, please?
Sure. Go right ahead, Mr. James.
Sure. I'm actually out on the street, so I
Okay.
couldn't get on camera. But I never heard of the mission statement before, so I'm not sure what you were hoping to achieve by having all the members here. But now that you've mentioned it, I think if you can maybe just shed some light as to maybe what you're thinking in terms of what you think it would, maybe if a sort of theme or what you want to represent. And then
Well,
now that we know about it, we can
right.
all work together offline. And then maybe in our
Exactly.
next meeting,
That's what,
we come together and we all bring our suggestions.
right. And that's exactly what I wanted to achieve, Mr. James, is for everyone to work together. I have some ideas that I think I would like to be able to put into the mission statement, but I don't want it to just be Ms. Bond's mission statement. It has to represent what the community wants. So I want to make sure that we hear from all constituents. So, okay, so definitely I will keep it on the agenda for next month. Next month also, I did reach out to the organization New York City for Parks, and they have been working on collecting data for around the city. And so they are going to do a short presentation for us at our April meeting with the data for this area. So I think that would be helpful, because I think that when you want to make demands of your political leaders, it's always nice to have that data to back you up, to say that this is what's going on in my community and here's the data to prove that. So I actually connected with them in the Bronx Speak Up. That's how I was able to get in touch with them. So those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to. Like I said, I am not by any means, I am not, this is all brand new to me. So anyone who would like to offer some suggestions or to, help me in any, or help the community in any way in the Parks and Recreation Department, please feel free. I do thank you all for coming out and being a part of the meeting. I really appreciate it. And now I believe if there are no more comments or questions, I think I can take the meeting. Is there a comment or question?
It seems like you're getting ready to close, Mrs. Bond. So I just want to add one thing, and again, I really apologize for, my computer being possessed by a spirit here, but, nonetheless, I'm glad to be able to catch in. I just want to say for members of the community, as well as everyone else, the level of preparation that Mrs. Bond put into getting ready for this meeting is without reproach. Let me repeat, the level of preparation that she put in to get ready for this meeting is without reproach. And so I think that, you can see how the meeting went. It was very succinct, and, it got to what we need to get to. So again, thank you for taking on this role, Mrs. Bond. I appreciate it. And anything that I can do to, make you successful, just please let me know. And I think that I can speak for most of the, board members here. And so I just really want to say that, as I said, like I said, for everything that you've done and everything that you've endured, that you did not have to or want to endure, but what you've been put through as well. So I just want to put that on the record as well. And, just thank you for, being the trooper that you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having confidence in me. And I do appreciate all the board members and having confidence in me as well. So, and I hope together, we can work to really have some movement within our community, to beautify our community and to make what we want it to be. Oh, Bronx River Alliance. Okay. Missy Jerry, you're going to help me. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Rain. Help me with the Rainells. Rainells. Okay. Thank you so much for attending the meeting, and definitely I will be reaching out to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay.
Hi, Denise.
Yeah.
Yeah. One quick question. I'm not sure if you were able to do this, but I know the work that has been going on over at Shuley Park.
Yes.
I believe it might have been scheduled to. Well, it's still going on. But
Right.
were you at least able to get an update as to
yes.
like the
Yes,
area that was finished?
Yes, we did get an update. We did get an update from Mr. Duran, and he said that the project is 80% complete, and he, without any, delays or unforeseeable delays at this point, he feels that it should be completed in June. That was the update that he gave us.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Can I say something, Ms. Gibson?
Sure, go right ahead, Ms. Gibson. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Gibson.
Since you have this position, it's a lot of footwork, not just Zoom work, to get in the beautification of the noise. So hopefully,
well, Ms. Gibson, to that comment, I can only say that I do work full time, and I do have other obligations, but I will do my best. And it's not just a one-person job. It's not just the chairperson of any committee. We don't work in isolation. We work with the community, with our community board members, to get to where we need to be as a community. So I will do my best, and I will do my part. But I think that it's not just one person. And I don't think that's not my approach to it at any event. But I will do my best. That's all I can say. Like I said in the very beginning, I'm not a botanist, I'm not a landscaper, but what I am is a lifelong member of Community Board 12, born here, raised here, went to school here, married here, my children raised here. So lifelong member of Community Board 12. And what I want to see for our community is that we grow and we prosper. That's what I want to see. Anyone else with any other comments?
Footwork.
Yes, Ms. Gibson. Yes, Ms. Gibson, do you have something you'd like to share?
No.
I'm finished. I just said footwork. I'm finished.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I believe that this is the way this goes, Dr. Burke and Nigeria. Please help me out if I'm doing this incorrectly. But may I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Can that be seconded?
Second.
Okay, great. Thank you all. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for making my first meeting. I think that it all went well. I hope it went well. I just have to stop recording now, and this recording will be housed someplace, right? Someone help me out, please.
Yes, yeah. It's just you stop once you. I think is it you or Jerry? Because it looks like Jerry's the host or whatever. Yeah, but whoever has got it, either you or her, just stop it.
I think it's me. So I'm gonna stop.
You did a fantastic job.
Oh,
you did a fantastic job.
You did, and I mean.